Okay, so put this in the notes for numerical derivatives. We figured the derivatives in the first section by using the formula. And when you find the first derivative, what have you actually found? The slope of what? Slope of the tangent line to the curve. Okay? I want to go back and look at an example of that since we've been away from it for a day. Okay? Consider y equals 3x squared. Okay? Say they ask you to find f prime of x, that's the first derivative, okay, at x equals -1. Sometimes the author is going to give you the whole ordered pair, sometimes they just give you the x value. Okay? On this one, we just want the derivative. Okay, so figure f prime of x, and you should learn this formula, the limit of f of x plus h minus f of x, and it's all over h as h approaches 0. Okay? So on this one, if you go across horizontally or if you go down, you should still have the equal sign. You still want to include the limit notation until you let h go to 0. So, and this just says everywhere you see an x, substitute in an x plus h. Okay, so we're going to put in 3 times the quantity x plus h, and that quantity squared, and then minus the f of x is 3x squared. If there's more than one term there, you definitely want to put in brackets, because that minus sign is going to change all the signs, and it's over h. Okay, okay with that? Okay, now when you substitute in and do this, take your time on the algebra part of this. When you square a binomial, remember you should always get a trinomial squared. So leave the 3 out front. When you square that, you should get x squared. Square the first one, multiply them together, xh, and double it, 2xh, and then square the last term, h squared, and then minus 3x squared. Whoops, I left out the limit symbol. Hang on. You need that limit symbol, that notation. That's my fault. And it's all over h as h goes to 0. Now, we said if it was a regular if it was just a polynomial, when you simplify all of this, the f of x should drop out. So we still have the limit notation as h goes to 0. Distribute that 3. You'd have 3x squared plus 6xh plus 3h squared, and then minus 3x squared, and it's all over h as h approaches 0. Okay, now here's where the 3x squared minus 3x squared should drop out. If it's a polynomial, that should always happen. If the f of x doesn't drop out, then you've got a mistake. Okay, so we have left the limit as h goes to 0, 6xh plus 3h squared all over h. Now that's a polynomial over a monomial that h divides into each term. Okay, so you still need the limit notation. You'd have, what, 6x plus 3h. Okay, and then you once you've reduced it, then you let h go to 0, which basically means you substitute in 0. So you'd have 6x plus 3 times 0, that drops out, and your first derivative then is 6x. Okay, so that is your f prime. Okay, so f prime of x is 6x. They want it at a specific x value to know the slope. So f prime of -1 would be -6. That is the slope of the tangent line at that point. Now, if they take you another step I didn't ask for it in the directions, but if they want you to go another step and say find the equation of the tangent line, okay, then you'd go back to y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. And this first derivative is the slope. So that is like your m. They gave you your x sub 1 was negative 1. To get the y sub 1, you need to go all the way back up in the original. Substitute negative 1 up here. Negative 1 squared would be 1. 1 times 3 would be 3. Okay, so, and then the author sometimes leaves the answer in the back of the book for this in slope-intercept form. Sometimes, the author leaves it in this form, y equals mx plus b. That